Ooh,
All right. Yep, that's why. Okay, I'm ready.
Ready? All right.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your finger's not on the button.
Oh.
You think I'm good?
I
Actually,
think you're
I've
good.
had a couple beers
After
in me,
4
so
IPAs?
I should be good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go.
Inspired by the adventures of our nurses, therapists, and techs, A Beer with Atlas is the only healthcare traveling, craft beer drinking podcast. Each week, we'll open a few beers, talk about the brewery and the style of beer, and then dive into some research curated specifically for each episode. In the end, we hope each one sounds like a conversation you'd have with your friends while enjoying a few cold ones.
Welcome to another episode of A Beer with Atlas. I'm Rich.
I'm Brian.
And I paddled south for this episode.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Dolan brought this one back. Tell us the circumstances around you bringing back this beer from Paddled South Brewing Company in High Point, North Carolina.
Yeah. Okay. So my wife is an interior designer here in Omaha. In every year, twice a year actually, they have the High Point Market. And what the High Point Market is everything, furniture, art, anything that you would need as an architect, as an interior design, as just somebody who's really as a furniture store, I guess. There was a lot of furniture sales reps and stuff there too. They have a showroom, several showrooms. I'm talking the whole town is just a bunch of tall buildings with empty rooms because they thrive off of this High Point Market.
Okay.
There's not even, in the whole town, there was 2 bars. The Paddled South Brewery, and then there was another place just down the street. There is nothing to do there because it is the furniture capital of the United States.
Furniture capital.
Yep.
What, do they make furniture there? Or they just show it off?
So both.
Okay.
Yeah, there's furniture manufacturers there, and then there is the stores or the showrooms, if you will. So we went to that. It was crazy. The first day we went 6 floors in one building, and I'm like, whoa, this is cool. And then they were like, oh yeah, this spans 5 blocks. So,
dang.
And we only went through 6 floors. Apparently it went up to floor 9 and just the one building. And each little store had their own showroom. So every floor had at least 20 different companies there.
Dang. It's like a big trade show.
It's huge. And it kind of felt fun because I had just got back from TravCon. And so I got to be the one to wear the badge and get scanned everywhere I went. And it was interesting. And then every little showroom had food, had drinks, and
Sure.
I was getting hammered.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome. It's hammered and sitting in all these different couches. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Checking out all these different light fixtures and
So what's the agenda? What's the main plan? Do they want you to come here and buy stuff?
Both. So, and it depends on what you're doing, right? So if you are let's say the owner of a furniture store, right? And you're selling to the interior designer firms or to the architect firms or whatever, interior decorating firms, whatever. You are going there to strike a deal with them, stock your store with their product. Okay. Or you are an interior designer and you are scanning the product codes into your own database so that way okay, if somebody wants X thing, I know exactly where to buy it from.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So it's a little bit of both. And then there's, the personal aspect of it too. I'm pretty sure we bought a couch while we were there, but we won't talk about that. Well, we haven't pulled the trigger on it, but we went through the whole thing, sat on the couch, sales rep did his thing. He sold me on this couch. I want the couch so bad. And then it was all customs. You pick your leather, you pick whatever. And that's exactly what it was. Most of these places were custom, just because they were selling to a lot of interior designers. So,
sure.
If there was an art piece, they were like, we can change the color of this if you want. Yeah. Or if there was a couch, we make it in 30 different leathers and
Yeah.
Just different colors and all that stuff. So it was an experience. It's an industry I know nothing about, but
sure, yeah.
I support my wife in it. So it was really cool.
I'm guessing most people don't know about this.
Oh, no. I mean,
I had no idea. Yeah, none whatsoever.
And there was people everywhere. But
they have hotels in this town?
Yeah.
Okay.
They have hotels.
Just for this thing.
We actually stayed in Winston-Salem area, which was like a 20-minute drive or so. But yeah, so there was one of those days where it was actually the second day. It was a Sunday because NFL was on. And I was like,
you remember that, yeah.
Okay, it's 11:30, guys. I'm gonna go find this brewery and work.
Work.
So, no, I did. I worked.
Watched the Packers play football.
I turned on the Packers and was doing a bunch of travel expense reports. So,
there you go.
And then I got to talking to the brewer and owner of Paddled South. It was interesting. Him and his wife and a business partner. So there's 3 people involved in this brewery. They came from somewhere northeast. I can't remember exactly where, but then they paddled south to High Point, North Carolina, and that's where they got the name. They actually, I think they opened the brewery before they had a name. I can't remember how exactly that went, but they had like one name in mind, and then they were like, oh, we just paddled south. And then they both stopped and they're like, that's it, Paddled South Brewery. So it was really cool. The brewer and owner was serving the beer all day. There's a food place next door. They've got like sandwiches and salads, and you can actually order it from him, and he will walk it over. And
this guy's busy.
Yeah,
Heck yeah.
Yeah, he's busy. There was a lot of people walking in, and they were like, whoa, yeah, we're here for the market. And like, this is the first year we've ever found anything like food wise or drink wise near the market, because there is nothing there. It's all showrooms. It's just a weird town. So I was talking to them, I'm like, is there really nothing to do here? And they're like, yeah, no, there's nothing to do here. So your best bet is to come here and drink and eat, or, go down the street to this other bar or whatever. But super cool inside. It did give me kind of like surfer vibes or kayaking vibes, if you will. It was open. The front door was a garage door looking thing. They let the wind in and out. Very small amount of taps. He also did wines. Wines was another thing that he was into.
I don't know if we've ever had a brewery that made wine.
Yeah,
well.
It was really cool. I didn't try any of the wine, but there was a couple.
Because you were working,
right? I was working. Yeah, I just had a flight and a half of beer.
That's fine. Those are little pours.
I call that lunch.
Exactly. I was drinking a pumpkin beer after I did my flight and kind of tried everything, and then. I fell in love with this one. It's the Nutty Blonde. It's supposed to be peanut butter and honey.
That's exactly what it is. That's totally what it is.
Yeah, and so I think we've done a peanut butter honey beer on here before, something like that maybe.
Yep.
But that one was my favorite. And then he had a a darker beer, a double bock. Doppelbock.
Yeah,
there you go. That was really good, but I didn't bring that one back. So
I wondered about this. So I didn't read any of your notes ahead of time. Like I thought, I went in blind to this, and I thought, okay, what am I going to do? But first of all, where is High Point? Like I want to know where that is.
Never heard of it.
No. So it is smack in between Greensboro and Winston-Salem. Like right in between. Now it's a little south. Like it's south of each of those.
Yeah.
But that doesn't surprise me. 20 minutes from each.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me whatsoever.
Well, and I know we have quite a bit of travelers in the Greensboro area.
Just North Carolina in general.
North Carolina,
Winston-Salem,
Yep. I looked this up because I'm interested. If I've never heard of the place, how big is it?
Yeah.
So right now, High Point, as of 2020, that was the last time they did a population survey. 113,000 people. But then there was a graph, because Google gives you all of this or whatever, and the graph was clearly going up. So I went all the way back as far as I could go. So 1990, they were 69,000 people.
So it doubled.
So clearly this industry, right, has changed that city quite a bit.
It's
quite
wild.
a bit.
It's wild.
Now, how many people from Greensboro or Winston-Salem live there and then commute?
To work, yeah.
Right. Like Elkhorn, Gretna commute into Omaha kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. Same sort of thing. So, how many, what does that have to do versus this industry that you're talking about, Dolan?
Well, and the other thing about it is it's only an hour from Raleigh, Durham area, and it's only an hour from Charlotte. It's like right in the middle between those two towns. Right. I mean, triangular middle or whatever. But, it's really interesting. I just never thought that there would be a town that would base their entire existence around furniture and art.
Think about what does every person have in their house?
Yep.
Beer.
Well, okay. Besides that. Yes, besides that.
Furniture.
Furniture.
You said triangular. Here, that's because it's in the triad.
Oh, okay.
These guys were the winner of Triad's Best.
Oh.
So similar to like we heard last episode about Phoenix's Best. These guys were the winner of the Triad's Best. You want to know the other cities in the Triad?
Yep.
Yeah.
Greensboro.
Yep.
Yeah.
Winston-Salem.
Yep.
Nice.
So they make a triangle. You get to vote.
There you go.
And these guys won.
There you go.
Here's some of the other beers maybe you had, maybe you didn't.
Oh,
but
I had
this
a
is
lot
what I
there.
saw,
Yeah.
of tiny samples.
Okay.
Hazy Sean.
Yep, I had that one.
Hazy IPA, 7.9%. He had a small pour. Farmer's Daughter.
I had that one too.
American IPA, 6.5.
American IPA.
Yeah.
So like a mountain IPA, maybe?
I don't know.
It was more pale ale.
Okay.
Ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tangerine Heat. It was a wheat beer,
Yes,
4.5.
I had that one. Yeah.
How about the Golden Bullet? Not the Silver Bullet. The Golden Bullet was a Belgian single, so 6.6%.
I didn't have that one.
The Ichabod, that's what you had probably. The Pumpkin Spice Ale.
Yes.
6.9%.
That one was so good.
Really?
So good. Yeah.
Motor Boat Meal. Sorry about that. Just about out of beer.
I almost spit some beer out there.
Motor Boat Meal. So a motorboat oatmeal stout, 8%.
I did have that one.
And then they had one called the Mañana del Sol.
Oh, that one is the one that I brought back with this
sour
one.
tart ale.
So good. It was pomegranate sour.
Oh.
Yeah.
That sounds good. They had the logo that we see on the can, the oars is cool. They had a beer. I don't know if it was the beer. Maybe it was the IPA. It had a skull in the middle of those oars.
Oh.
Some stuff around it. That looked really cool.
The Dia... They had a beer around it.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah, it was
I was like, ooh, that's neat.
Their Mexican lager.
Okay. Because it was kind of reminiscent a little bit of like the Fairy Nectar, but the skull was more realistic, I guess.
Oh.
I would say.
Okay.
Those guys won. I was talking about the Triad's Best. Here's what they won. Best Brewery.
Okay.
So out of those, and there's breweries in Winston-Salem and Greensboro.
Absolutely.
Best Male Bartender. That's a category.
That's a category?
And guess who
What?
won? Steve. Did you talk to Steve? I don't know. Maybe.
Congratulations, Steve.
You know what? I can find out. I have his card in my wallet.
Oh.
They also won Best Female Bartender for Hannah
Congratulations.
in the Triad.
Wow.
And they also had Best Beer Selection in Guilford County.
Okay, what's the category? Or like, what's the criteria in the category?
I don't know.
Like, does Steve work out?
Maybe he's just very social.
Maybe.
No, I had David.
You talked to Dave, yeah.
Yeah, I
the
talked
owner.
to David.
Dave and
Owner.
Amy.
Looks like you got paddled, it says.
Get
You-
paddled.
Get
Yeah.
paddled.
He did.
Yeah.
He brought this beer in. The more I drink this, just tiny little tastes, the more peanut I get,
Yeah.
which is nice.
It's very nutty.
Are you a fan of the honey peanut butter?
I've never actually like had it.
Yeah.
And I've heard of people doing like peanut butter honey sandwiches. But I've only had it in beer form, and it's
Yeah.
great.
Skippy makes a honey peanut butter. So my sister-in-law, that's her favorite. She likes that honey peanut butter. I'm not a fan.
I don't know if this is a thing. I'm a peanut butter purist. I just want peanut butter.
Oh, yeah,
Right?
same.
I just want that.
Chunky
I had
or
Reese's
creamy?
for breakfast.
Oh,
today.
definitely creamy. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Look, I'm not going to turn it down, but
Yeah.
I will take the creamy though.
Yeah.
history. I've got research. I had to figure out what was I going to do on this one.
Yeah.
And I was looking at all the tap signs because they were all hand drawn. It looked like with chalk maybe or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, the one for this beer had Winnie the Pooh's head stuck in a honey jar. And I thought, okay, let's get into this because I know it's been in the zeitgeist, if you will,
totally,
of late because the copyright thing came off or whatever. So now it's in the public domain.
Right on.
And you can do whatever you want with Winnie the Pooh. There's a horror movie coming out, or maybe it's already been out about Winnie the Pooh. As long as you don't put the red shirt on him, that's a Disney thing.
Yep.
You can kind of do whatever you want to do with Winnie.
There's a comic book series, independent comic book owner company that does a Do You Pooh series.
Oh.
And they have ripped off. They have homaged every famous comic book cover known to man.
Yeah.
So Do You Pooh has
So it's out there. It's going on. So I thought, okay, we'll talk about this.
Yep.
So I read a couple articles, and I'm going to try to weave it all together for us. But in the New York Public Library, right now, currently, in a cage, in the children's book section of the library, there are these stuffed animals. And that is a young pig, a donkey, a tiger, a kangaroo, and a bear. And they've been in there for over 100 years.
Wow.
So these stuffed animals have been there a long time. And they are the inspiration for the characters of the story, of the book.
A. Milne's
Yes.
inspiration.
You knew that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So here's a little story for us. In 1928, the book comes out, The House on Pooh Corner. Little backstory on him. He was a World War I soldier, a veteran. And he came back, they called it shell shock back then. We would call it PTSD. Now. But he lived in London. And when he got back from the war, he's kind of like, I got to get out of the city. Takes his wife and his son, and they move out to the country. And they have a forest out there, woods, as they would call it.
100 acre?
Yeah, maybe. And they walk around out there. And before he went to the war, he was an essayist, a humorist, and a magazine editor. So think of him as like a British Mark Twain. That style of stuff. And then when he comes back from the war, he mostly writes plays. He's kind of like all growed up. You know, he's like, I've seen some shit.
Yep.
Time to write about the human psyche and whatnot.
Yeah.
His only kid was named Christopher Robin. And that's for real. His nickname was Billy Moon. I like Christopher Robin better.
Billy Moon.
Yeah. Why? I don't know. But that's how it worked.
All right. You never know.
So him and his son would walk around in the woods or whatever, and he had seen these characters someplace, and he started telling his kid stories. That's what he liked to do, was just tell them stories or whatever, and they'd walk in the forest or whatever, in the woods. So his kid said, hey, Dad, tell me a story or whatever, and this is the story. And he wrote it down because he liked it. And in December 25th, so on Christmas Day, 1925, this story comes out, The House on Pooh Corner, basically. This comes after this. So this is the first time it's in print. And it's in the London Evening News, so like the newspaper. And we talked about that, I think it was around like Dickens. Remember when we talked about him coming here and doing readings and stuff? It was kind of like that. So it got published in the paper so a lot of people could read it. And the story was called The Wrong Sort of Bees. And it's basically the Disney version. So he wants to get some honey. He sees there's bees in the tree. He rolls around in the mud. He gets a balloon. He floats up there, and he gets stuck. He can't get the honey, and he's upset. And have you ever seen that movie, Dolan? That Disney?
Yes, I have seen that one.
So that's the story.
Yep.
And it's he made up a song in the book, and I think that's what's translated into the movie as well. And it gets to be pretty popular. And there's a call for him, like, hey, we would like some more of these stories, please. So he starts working on that. Teams up with this guy named Ernest H. Shepard, who's the illustrator.
Okay.
So if you've ever seen the book, if you've got any copies of the book, and in the movie too, the illustrations kind of come off the page of the book. So he's turning the page and you see the drawings. Those are from this guy. And they bonded really well because they were both veterans. So they kind of got along for that. They kind of understood each other. And the drawings, they said, were like innocent of a child, but there's some underlying like darkness and melancholy, which is true of the stories and the some of the characters, Eeyore and whatnot, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And like everything's kind of not working out for everybody.
Even
There's always
Piglet,
problems.
a little bit, right? Yeah.
Yep. So there's always like some kind of underlying darkness. Maybe that's why I like it. So those guys get along, and the pictures, the illustrations really set off the stories, and it makes it even more popular. So it's kind of like the Harry Potter of its day. Takes over.
Yep.
1926, the book was first published in England. It sold 32,000 copies, which is a lot. 150,000 when it finally gets to the United States. So that's pretty good. It gets popular. They're like the inspiration for the boy, the human. Christopher Robin is his son. Hey, you know what would be cool? Let's take him around and show him off. Let's do public appearances. Let's do signings. Let's do pictures. Let's do interviews. Let's do whatever we can with this kid to hype up the book. And at first he liked it, and then he didn't. And he got bullied at school, and he got called all the names and all that sort of thing.
Sure.
And he finally was like, I got to get out of this shadow. I got to do my own thing. I got to be a man. I'm going to go fight in this thing called World War II. And his dad's like, don't do it. I'm a veteran. It sucked. It's messed me up. Don't go. I'm doing it anyway, Dad.
no.
So he goes, and he fails the physical test or whatever. He had some problem.
And he becomes Captain America?
And yes. No.
Oh.
Captain Kangaroo. No, that's a different thing, too.
Yeah.
So he's like, hey, Dad, you've got some weight. Can you write a letter to the military and see if you can get me in? And he's like, fine. So he does. And he gets in the military. And he goes to, I think it was Italy, maybe.
Okay.
He got blasted with some shrapnel. He got concussion. He got hurt. He was in the hospital a long time. Got like something cut open his guts, and he barely survives.
Oh.
But he does survive.
That's better than I thought the story was going to go.
So then, like, he gets a little bit later on, he comes back home, and he kind of like comes to grips with his fame, if you will, and his dad. And it kind of ends up being a sort of a happy ending for him, but he was really pushing against it most of his adult life. Kind of like the voice actor for Charlie Brown.
Okay.
Dude's always in trouble lately, and he's old now, but he's been the voice of Charlie Brown his whole life, and it's a hard thing to live up to, I think. So
right.
Similar to him. Now, as of currently, they've sold 20 million copies of the Pooh stories.
Wow.
There's only a few. There's not a lot of them. It's not like he wrote 50 or 100 of these things. It's been in 50 languages. It's never been out of print since 1926. So you can always get it.
Wow.
And in 1958, it was the only book ever that was in the Latin language to be on the New York Times bestseller list.
No kidding.
Was Winnie the Pooh.
Huh.
So that's what I got for us.
In Latin.
Yeah. So who was buying Latin in the 50s? I don't know. I think there was like a craze.
Catholics.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I guess they knew it, right?
Yeah.
I took Latin a little bit in high school.
Yeah.
So I don't think I could read
Traditional
Winnie the Pooh.
Catholic Mass was in Latin until like sometime in the 70s,
Yeah,
wasn't
late
it?
70s, I think.
Yeah. Wow.
But that's what I found. I thought it was interesting. I think there's a movie kind of about this with Ewan McGregor.
There is
Something about Christopher Robin or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting to me that the characters that I watched a lot as a kid, like that was a real kid. That was his name. And he had seen these toys, and the dad just put it all together one day and made a story, and it got popular. And it's, as someone who reads books to kids every night at my house, that seems to be the way it works. Like, parents make up a story, and it's good enough. Yeah. And you need one idea or one character. It gets popular enough, and you can make mega bucks on children's books, you know? So we're into that like a lot at my house right now.
Ryan was like that with his kids for a long time. Was like, tell me a story about a dragon or whatever. Like, so his older kids growing up, he would just make up stories or whatever. With the girls, it was a little bit different. With Riley and Scarlett, it was different. But with Maddox, it was all Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like it was always like, read me a Star Wars book or whatever. So
we've read the gamut of all the books that you can have, the classics that I had, or even like my mom had growing up. We're all the way up into like The Bad Guys, which is a popular movie now. Any of those sort of books, we're kind of have dipped our toes into them, but this is one that stands the test of time, and I think everybody's at least seen it or knows about who it is.
Has it lived because there aren't a ton of them, right? There's only a finite number of poo stories, and that's it.
I think so. I know the Disney thing has helped.
Sure.
But also before these movies, it was still popular and people were reading them, you know? So it can't be all of it because those movies were in the 70s.
Live action was pretty good too. The newer one.
The newer one. Yeah.
Zooey Deschanel was in did the soundtrack of the newest animated Winnie the Pooh version. That was nice.
I don't have an appetite for the violent Pooh, the new one or whatever, or whatever. That's just not my thing. But I could see why people would, right? I mean, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I guess, people like to be scared, and they like things that they're familiar with, and you put a twist on it, and it's different and interesting, and I'm sure it'll get some clicks and some views.
Oh, I'm sure.
Winnie the Pooh is actually, like, huge for my wife's childhood. Yeah? Like, she is a Winnie the Pooh fan.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely loves them. Has books, knows all the stories. In high school, like, I bought her a Winnie the Pooh hat once.
She should be on this episode.
Yeah, totally.
She could talk.
What's her favorite character?
Pooh.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I like him because he just never gives up.
Yeah.
Even though he probably should.
True.
He's kind of like a Charlie Brown character where always bad stuff's happening to him. But a lot of time it's because he is doing it himself.
Yeah.
Charlie Brown was bullied, I feel like, in the stories and stuff. And Winnie the Pooh is just like, man, I'm hungry. How am I gonna get some food? And then stuff happens.
I gotta say, I'm a Piglet fan.
I like Piglet too.
Piglet's good.
Yeah.
I like Owl.
Yeah, Owl's cool.
Because he's smart, but if you actually listen to what he's saying, it's all wrong.
Yeah.
The stuff that he says,
but he sounds smart doing
and
it.
everybody believes him.
Absolutely.
And that's fun. You can get away with that even with people when you talk to them. So
I think when I was a kid, Tigger was like my go-to.
Huge.
Yeah. But I think as I've grown older, Piglet, I like Eeyore a lot.
Yeah.
Outside of Christopher Robin, Piglet is the voice of reason for Pooh.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
I mean,
he's very tentative and he's like guarded and
Piglet is who everybody should listen to, but nobody does.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Piglet is, I go back to, and this was a while back. We had a podcast about movies, and we did Good Will Hunting, and it was Ben Affleck's character in Good Will Hunting, who was the voice of reason. Like, everybody needed that friend. Like that, he was the guy. No matter how drunk or stupid or how much he wanted to fight, like, he was the friend that would always give him the this is the real story.
Sure.
This is what's really happening.
Yeah.
Kind of deal.
I never thought about it.
Yeah.
We went deep into the Winnie the Pooh characters.
Yeah.
As adults.
Well, I mean, when you got a honey bear like this, like, no one says honey like Winnie.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what's weird is the more I drink it, the peanut butter goes away and I get more honey.
Yeah.
It's as it warms up a little bit. Yeah.
Are we allowed to open that other candle?
Yeah, go for it.
Damn right.
I'm out for a reason.
You know, we haven't even talked about the brewery. So you talked to Dave.
Yes, I talked to Dave.
So Dave and Amy, so husband
that
and wife.
Must be his wife.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah,
Yep.
I didn't meet his wife, just Dave.
And then Patrick Watterson.
Okay.
I keep wanting to add a T. Watterson.
Okay.
Yeah, or, I'm sorry, a D. It's Watterson.
Okay.
They're the founders of the brewery.
Yes, and I think so. Dave is the brewer and owner.
Yep.
I think Amy helps in the brewer room. And then the other guy, Patrick, you said his name is? I didn't know his name until today.
Yep.
He, I think, is the money guy or some sort of accounting guy.
Do you know why?
I don't know why.
He was a PA, is a PA. So he's a physician's assistant for 25 years.
Wow.
So he has, and here's tied back to us, right? Tied back to healthcare staffing. He's been a PA for 25 years. And so during that time, he's amassed some, so he was the money behind it in the beginning.
Okay. Well, it's funny because Dave did talk about him quite a bit when I was talking to him. He said that they probably wouldn't have a hazy IPA on the board if it weren't for him.
Oh.
And then the other thing that he said was, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank now. But yeah, he said that there probably wouldn't be a hazy IPA on the board if it weren't for him.
Interesting.
Which
That's his
is
style.
interesting. Yeah, that is like his beer. Oh, the other thing was, I asked him when I got there, I was like, hey, never been here, just here. My wife's doing the market thing. He totally understood what the market was. He's like, yeah, this the whole town does.
Yeah.
And he was like, I asked him, well, what's your flagship beers? I want to make sure I get those in my flight just to try everything. And he's like, actually, we don't have any. Every beer that we originally made that made this whole thing is gone. Because as they started the brewery with those beers, and people were like, oh, this is pretty good, he started doing other things, and then nobody would drink the original beers. And he was like, well, looks like none of those make sense anymore. So he was like, the one that everybody drinks is Farmer's Daughter. That's the one that everybody likes.
Interesting.
And that's the American IPA.
Yep.
So they had the thing on the website that was called the Paddler's Pick.
I wrote this down too.
And
I think this part is
And
fascinating.
you put it in the comments on the social media, and they pick it, and they
Yep.
make that beer.
Interesting.
That's cool.
That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Like, we'd really like you to make a whatever. Doesn't
Yeah.
even a Belgian style. Fine, we'll do that.
Okay.
We want you to make a red ale. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense if they're so free with their, most places have those flagship beers locked down.
Yeah.
They would never change it or touch it. And then these guys are just like, oh, whatever.
Well, and then the other thing is he had a Doppelbock on tap that I tried, and I'm like, this is like the best Doppelbock I've ever had, because I don't really like them. And this one, I was like, give me another one, know?
Yeah.
And I was like, what, like, this is supposed to be just a traditional Doppelbock, or like, what did you do to it? And he's like, actually, we thought this was going to go old. And he's like, and as the older it got, like, the more people liked it. So,
Better
like,
it got.
like, hit the secret for his Doppelbock, I guess, is age it a little bit.
Just let it be.
Yeah.
Well, that's how it's supposed to be, I guess.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, just really, really cool how down to earth he was, and like how transparent he was with his beers too. Like, there was one beer where he's like, it's all right. You're not going to like it, but
People
it'll
that
be good.
make beer, they're tough, man.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than when you go to a place like, what do you like? Okay, I'm thinking about this. And they say, no,
Yeah.
don't order that.
Exactly.
You should get this. This is what I eat. This is what I drink here. Instead, okay,
And you
I'll
better
take
listen,
that.
because it's usually
Yeah.
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And he basically was like, yeah, it was an experiment. I think some people like it. He's like, I don't. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Honesty.
I can't even remember what beer it was that we talked about, but I mean, I had them all. I ended up having them all, just a taster of them all.
Right, of
So,
course, because you were working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was working hard.
Is that on the expense report that you have to fill out still?
Oh, I
or-
had to redo the entire. No, I'm just
boy.
kidding.
Couldn't read it when I was done.
No, it was really cool, and it was really Dave does a really good job of making you feel comfortable.
Nice.
Didn't know the guy. A lot of people that came in actually was their first time in there too. I
I'm sure
noticed.
you were like a lot of folks that day. Huh?
Yeah, and they were everybody was talking. I was there for maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours tops maybe, and I had already had a conversation with everybody around me. So
Nice.
Know
Yeah.
your audience, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
understand these people are coming back year after year after year, or every 6 months in this case.
yeah,
right?
it's every
I-
twice a year.
I gotta go see Dave.
And
I
plus,
gotta
the
go.
neighborhood's got to have something to do, right? So,
Exactly. Yeah. There was a couple locals in there, and even they were like, "Oh, let me try the pumpkin beer." I don't know, and they would drink it. They had this. He had this chili beer on tap that I for sure drank.
Yeah.
And he said he used like 100 pounds of jalapenos and
was
100
that the tangerine heat?
Yes,
Yeah.
and like whatever he said, how many pounds of tangerines. That one was really good, really
that
good.
sounds
It was
good.
more tangerine than heat, but
Interesting.
it was good.
See, that would be nice. Yeah, a little citrus and then a
Yeah.
little heat at the end.
And there's nothing better than when you can actually talk to the brewer, right? And you understand the impetus behind whatever that the brewing process there.
Yeah.
I really thought this would go well with this or whatever. Like that. That's super
I
fascinating.
think it's
to me.
fun because nobody's brewing on accident.
No.
Right? It's not like, oh, I needed a job. I guess I'll be a beer brewer.
Yep.
It's like a passion for everybody that's doing that job. I would feel like probably 99% of people. So it's kind of cool to see them and talk to them and pick their brain.
Yeah.
I like it.
Okay, so I love TripAdvisor.
Yes.
There were 0 reviews for this place on TripAdvisor.
It's only been open a year, you said, right?
Only a year. I think he was... I cannot remember. I need to take notes when I talk to brewers and stuff. But
especially if you're having all their beers.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he, I want to say he was brewing a little bit before, and that's why I'm confused about if the name came before or after the actual brewery opened or whatever. He I guess he already had sort of a process or whatever, but I'm not entirely sure.
I was surprised there were no reviews on TripAdvisor. So next best thing, I went to Google.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Everybody puts reviews on Google, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
There were a handful or whatever. 87 reviews on Google.
Oh, wow.
What's normal, would you say?
For a year, that's actually pretty good.
Okay.
That's really good for a year.
Yeah.
I mean, a year, it'd be hard to get 10.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know?
okay.
Yeah. 4.8 out of 5. Out of
Oh.
5.
That's pretty good.
And there were no bad reviews. I went and looked.
Yeah.
There were no bad reviews.
It's the type of place, if you have a bad beer, I would still leave it a good review because it was just a good time.
Yeah.
It really was.
That makes a difference. Totally does.
I expected to just go listen to football, work, and get a couple beers and have nobody, talk to nobody,
Sure.
nothing.
Just do your thing.
But
And you
then
had fun.
yeah, I had fun. I just was talking to randos about football and
You're like, yep, I'm still a Packer fan.
yeah.
Which is crazy because that's the review.
Yeah.
So the review is, her name's Krista Nee. She wrote it a year ago. Had a great time. I'm not a beer drinker, but I found a couple beers that I loved. 4 to be exact. If you're not a beer drinker like me, give them a try. You won't regret it. They also offer a great cider and a spiked seltzer.
Oh yeah, I forgot about. So, well, first off, he was just really good at again, making you comfortable, but he was really good. The guy next to me had the Tangerine Heat, and he wasn't too sure. He's like, peppers in a beer, and you could tell that he wasn't a craft beer drinker at all. He was just there to hang out or whatever.
Thing to do.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's like, look, I made this with this many pounds of peppers, this many pounds of tangerines. You're going to get this, you're going to get that. Would you like to try a sample? And he'd sample it and he'd be like, see, it's he would explain to them what it is and where he comes from as a brewer. And then you could just tell the guy was I don't know, more into the process than the beer.
Well, you get some ownership. When you know more about it, you've got some knowledge, you've got more buy-in.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's what it was. I would ask him, why is this sour so good? He's like, we made it with pomegranates and the pomegranate just completed this beer. We never would have thought, pomegranates of all things,
Oh, that would have been a pain.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But I really, really enjoy the fact that he wasn't just a beer tender. He was a wealth of knowledge, too.
Like a teacher.
That makes some of the best breweries, though.
Mm-hmm.
It totally does. Yeah.
Yeah.
That changes your experience.
It did. And it was cool. He would, how are we doing over there, Dolan? First name basis,
Oh, man. Are you going to go back?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We're going
I'll
twice
buy
a
that
year.
Couch. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, bring us back another one, and we'll do this again in 6 months then.
Yeah.
So,
Heck yeah.
Untapped, 36 check-ins.
This is not a beer town.
36. Yeah, that's it.
Which is wild because North Carolina is a
Beer state.
Right?
Next to Colorado.
Up and comer. Here's the thing. If in 2 years or a year from now I see this name on the Great American Beer Fest medal list, I will not be disappointed. I will not be surprised at all.
This beer it's good. I
Yeah.
mean, it started out good, but it's growing on me.
It is. It totally is. Yep.
Yeah.
There was a little peanut butter punch in the nose for a second. Well, I see what you're going for here.
But not sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, the honey's there and you get that flavor too, but it's not like candy.
Nope.
Yeah, no, and here was my thought process. I was gonna bring back the Farmer's Daughter because that's kind of what their current flagship is and what everybody kind of likes, according to David. And I thought, well, it's fall. We gotta get like something sweet, and something nutty, and kind of reminds me of like.
We've had this peanut butter conversation before. You know we're both fans, so this is a good choice.
You did well.
36 check-ins. Where do you think we land on this? This is going to be tough.
It doesn't sound like it's a beer town at all.
Yeah, no.
So, the people that... All right, I'm going to talk myself into it. The people that actually have Untapped in this town are happy that there's a place that they can check in beers at this place.
Absolutely.
So I feel like this is going to be a 4.19.
I'm going 382.
395. Right in between there.
Yeah. Wow.
Not surprised whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's a 4 all day long. As a peanut butter style beer, that's a 4.
And you don't get a lot of peanut butter that's not in a stout. I mean, very rarely. You might get 1 or 2, but...
I think I checked into maybe 7 or 8 beers there that day. Just tasters and whatever, so...
And then he pocket dialed me later, and I was like,
"Oh, whatever." I did have a full pour of the Doppelbock. That was really good.
Well, I mean, if it's that good, you have to.
Throwback to an episode we did not too long ago. I was in Houston. I had the Crawford Bock again.
Oh,
do you remember that one?
Yeah.
I drank so much of that. One, because I was like 3 blocks from Minute Maid Park.
Sure.
So it was just all Astros fans all the time.
Yeah, well, as it was the World Series,
stupidly annoying. But, man, I drank so much Crawford Bock. It was so good. Oh, my goodness, it was good.
Yeah.
Every place I went, I'll just take that. That's fine. I'll take that.
Well, and I talked to Dave some more, and I was like, North Carolina, it's because I was telling him like it's kind of crazy there is no brewery here, because North Carolina, they've got a ton of breweries like all over the place. And his kind of dig or something, if you will, is like, yeah, we have a lot of breweries, but we're not Colorado. Not every brewery makes good beer.
That's true.
And I'm like, that's true. Like, you can go to any brewery in Colorado and get a really good beer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
true.
His opinion, in North Carolina, you cannot. So that's his goal. Yeah. He wants to make good beer.
Well, they won Brewery of the Year. First year.
There you go.
There you are.
There's nothing wrong with having a little chip on your shoulder.
Yep.
Right? That's nothing wrong with that at all. All right. Next couple weeks, stouts, please. Yes, stouts.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
You really had to talk me into it.
I really don't know what's next on the list. So Dolan knows.
Dolan knows.
I have no idea. I'm praying for stouts.
We do have some stouts coming up.
It's cold, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's time.
It's starting to get cold.
It's going to be in 30s all week next week.
I didn't wear a jacket this morning, and I regretted it.
That was a bad idea.
Yeah.
Bad idea. So until then, we're not going anywhere for a while.
Let's have another beer.
Thank you for listening to A Beer with Atlas. Special thanks to our brand team for producing the show. Each episode of A Beer with Atlas is powered by Atlas MedStaff, an industry leader in travel healthcare staffing.